Hello there. Have you ever wondered how buildings are made, how cars can go so fast, or how your favorite game on your tablet was created? The answer to all these questions is simple: engineers. Engineers are people who solve problems and build amazing things that make our world better and more exciting. But what exactly do engineers do every day? And did you know there are many kinds of engineers, each with their own special job? This book, What Engineers Do, is for curious kids just like you, who want to understand how the world works. Get ready to discover the amazing world of engineering and the cool jobs engineers do to make our lives better. This YouTube video, What Engineers Do, is a copyrighted work that belongs to Norzan Muhammad. For each engineering position, we will look into what these engineers do and where they work. We will cover these positions: aerospace engineer, agricultural engineer, automotive engineer, biomedical engineer, chemical engineer, civil engineer, computer engineer, electrical engineer, environmental engineer, geological engineer, industrial engineer, IT engineer, maintenance engineer, marine engineer, materials engineer, mechanical engineer, mining engineer, nuclear engineer, petroleum engineer, process engineer, product engineer, project engineer, quality engineer, software engineer, sound engineer, structural engineer, system engineer, technical engineer and telecommunications engineer. Now, let's get started. Aerospace engineer. What they do: aerospace engineers design and build things that fly. This includes airplanes, helicopters, rockets, and even spaceships that go to outer space. Where they work in airplane factories, space centers, and testing labs to make sure everything is ready for safe flights. Agricultural engineer. What they do: agricultural engineers create tools and machines that help farmers grow and harvest food, like tractors and sprinklers. They also find ways to keep crops healthy and reduce water waste. Where they work on farms, in fields, and in labs where they test new farming ideas. Automotive engineer. What they do: automotive engineers design and improve cars, trucks, and motorcycles. They make sure vehicles are safe, fast, and fun to drive. Where they work in car companies, in labs where they test car parts, or even in racetracks to test cars. Biomedical engineer. What they do: biomedical engineers create tools and machines to help doctors, like X-ray machines and artificial hearts. They help keep people healthy by making medical technology better. Where they work in hospitals, research labs, and companies that make medical equipment. Chemical engineer. What they do: chemical engineers work with chemicals to create products we use every day, like plastic, soap, or medicine. They figure out how to safely mix ingredients to make new materials. Where they work in laboratories, factories, and sometimes even in food or beauty companies where they create new products. Civil engineer. What they do: civil engineers design and build things that make cities work, like roads, bridges, tunnels, and buildings. They also help with systems that bring water to your home. Where they work on construction sites, in offices, and sometimes in cities where new buildings or bridges are being made. Computer engineer. What they do: computer engineers design and build computers, phones, and other devices. They create the hardware, the physical parts, that make computers work. Where they work in tech companies, software labs, and offices where they build and test computer parts and programs. Electrical engineer. What they do: electrical engineers work with electricity to create things like power grids, light systems, and electrical devices. They figure out how to safely power homes and cities. Where they can work in offices, labs, or power plants to make sure we have power in our homes, schools, and cities. Environmental engineer. What they do: environmental engineers help protect the environment by creating ways to clean air, water, and land. They also help find solutions to problems like pollution. Where they work in forests, rivers, and cities, and sometimes in labs where they test water and soil samples. Geological engineer. What they do: geological engineers study the earth and help find natural resources like oil, gas, and minerals. They also help design buildings that won't be affected by earthquakes. Where they work in forests, mountains, and sometimes in cities, studying rocks and soil. Industrial engineer. What they do: industrial engineers make factories and workplaces more efficient. They help organize how products, like toys or clothes, are made so they're done faster and with less waste. Where they work in factories, offices, and sometimes in warehouses, figuring out the best way to make things. IT engineer. What they do: IT engineers fix problems with computers, set up networks, like the internet you use at home, and make sure everything runs smoothly so people can stay connected and do their jobs. Where they work, IT engineers often work in offices where lots of computers are used. They may also work remotely to solve problems online. Maintenance engineer. What they do: maintenance engineers make sure machines, buildings, and systems are always working correctly. They fix things when they break and keep everything running smoothly. Where they work in factories and large buildings, inspecting and repairing equipment. Marine engineer. What they do: marine engineers work with boats, submarines, and other machines that go underwater. They make sure these machines can work well and safely in the ocean. Where they work at shipyards, ports, and sometimes even on ships or submarines to keep everything working. Materials engineer. What they do: materials engineers make and test new materials like metal, plastic, or fabric for things we use every day, like phones, clothing, and sports equipment. Where they work in labs where they test materials, or in factories where new products are made. Mechanical engineer. What they do: mechanical engineers design and build machines, engines, and tools that help make our lives easier. They work on things like engines in cars, robots, and even household appliances. Where they often work in factories, car companies, and labs where they test machines to make sure they work correctly. Mining engineer. What they do: mining engineers design and plan the safest way to dig for valuable minerals and resources underground, like gold, coal, and diamonds. Where they work in mines, which are big tunnels underground, and sometimes in offices where they plan new mines. Nuclear engineer. What they do: nuclear engineers work with nuclear energy, which can be used to make power for homes and buildings. They also ensure that this type of energy is used safely. Where they work in power plants, where electricity is made, or in labs where they study nuclear energy. Petroleum engineer. What they do: petroleum engineers figure out how to safely extract oil and gas from the ground. These resources are used to make fuel for cars, planes, and heating homes. Where they work on oil rigs, which are big machines on land or out in the ocean, as well as in labs where they study the oil. Process engineer. What they do: process engineers design systems that turn raw materials into finished products, like turning raw metal into cars. Where they usually work in factories, plants, or production facilities. Product engineer. What they do: product engineers design and test new products before they are sold to the public. They make sure everything works well and is safe to use. Where they work in offices, labs, or design centers, and sometimes visit factories to see how their product is made. Project engineer. What they do: they manage and coordinate projects, making sure everything is built on time, stays on budget, and follows the plan. They work with different teams to ensure everything runs smoothly. Where they work in offices and project sites, overseeing work and coordinating teams, and often visit different locations to check on progress. Quality engineer. What they do: quality engineers make sure that products are made to high standards and work properly. They check products to find and fix any problems before they are sold. Where they work They work in factories and labs, testing products and making sure they meet standards. Software engineer. What they do. Software engineers write the instructions, called code, that make computers, apps, and games work. They help make fun games, useful apps, and important programs for many things we use every day. Where they work. They work in offices, tech companies, or at home, sitting at a computer and creating new programs. Sound engineer. What they do. Sound engineers make sure the music, voices, and sound effects sound perfect. Whether it's at a concert, on a movie set, or in a recording studio, they control microphones, speakers, and recording equipment to create amazing sound experiences. Where they work in music studios, concert halls, TV stations, movie sets, or even at sports events to make sure the sound is clear and perfect. Structural engineer. What they do. Structural engineers design and help build strong structures, like skyscrapers, bridges, and tunnels. They test materials to make sure they are safe for big structures. Where they work in offices designing buildings, on construction sites, and sometimes in testing labs. System engineer. What they do. Systems engineers make sure all the different parts of a big project work well together. They design how different machines, computers, or networks connect and communicate with each other so that everything works as one system. Where they work. Depending on the industry, they work in offices, factories, hospitals, helping all the parts work together. Technical engineer. What they do. Technical engineers help explain and design products for customers, making sure everything is right before it's made. Where they work in offices, helping sales teams and planning product details. Telecommunications engineer. What they do. Telecommunications engineers make sure we can talk to each other from far away. They design and set up networks for phones, the internet, and radios. Where they work in offices, communication centers, or even outside setting up towers and cables. Engineers are problem solvers and creators who help make the world a better place. They work in many different fields, from building bridges and designing cars to creating video games and improving medical devices. No matter the type of engineer, they all use math, science, and creativity to solve problems and make things work better. Engineers also think about how their inventions and designs can help people and the environment, making sure they build things that are safe, useful, and sustainable. As the world keeps changing, engineers will continue to play a big role in shaping the future. They might help discover new ways to protect the planet, create faster computers, or even design robots to help improve tasks in our everyday lives.